Columbus, Georgia, this is your City Council. Mayor, Skip Henderson. City Manager, Isaiah Hughley. Pops Barnes, District 1. Glenn Davis, District 2. Bruce Huff, District 3. Evelyn Turner Pugh, Mayor Pro Tem and District 4. Charmaine Crabb, District 5. Gary Allen, District 6. Mimi Woodson, District 7. Walker Garrett, District 8. Judy Thomas, Post 9 at-large Counselor. John House.
Welcome to the September 24th Council meeting. We're grateful to have you join us. We're going to begin this meeting as we start all our meetings. That's by invoking God's blessing on these proceedings. So I'm going to ask Reverend David Stallion from Mount Pilgrim Baptist Church to come forward. Welcome.
Let us bow, please. Heavenly Father, we are grateful for this opportunity that you have given all of us to be in this place together as council and citizens. We thank you, God, for the grace that you have given us to just make it through this day. And now, God, we just praying that you will be in the midst of the meeting, God, in the midst of the business at hand, that, God, it will be blessed by you. And if it's blessed by you, then we know that all will be successful. We thank you for our officials. We thank you, God, for the citizens of this great city. We pray now, God, that you will be in the midst of the rest of the meeting, and that all will go well, that we will leave out productively, and we will leave out, God, in unity. For this we ask, in your name we pray. Amen.
Reverend Stallion, thank you, sir. We appreciate your congregation sharing you with us, and thank you, too, for everything that you do in the community. You are a busy man, and we're grateful. All right, next up, we're going to have our Pledge of Allegiance. It's going to be led by Girl Scout Troop 5264. Is that correct? Ladies, why don't y'all come up to the front, and if you would, please stand.
Face the flag that way. Here you go, sweetie. Y'all can scoot down, so.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very good. Now, ladies, if you would, while you're up here, we want you to, you know the drill. Give us your name, how old you are, where you go to school. How about that? Anything else interesting you want to tell us?
My name is Lucy. I'm 7. I go to Pine Ridge, and
What grade?
I'm in 2nd.
Good deal.
My name's Rebecca. I go to Jensen. I'm in 2nd grade.
Very good.
I'm 8.
And you're 8, okay.
Hi, I'm Rory. I am 11. I go to Creekside Intermediate School, and I am in 6th grade.
My name is Akasha Jade Fichet. I go to Harris County Carver Middle School. I am in 8th grade, and I am 14 years old.
My name is Ava. I'm 7. I'm in 2nd grade. I'm Lily, and I go to Allen Elementary School, and I'm 5. I'm Nora, and I go to Allen Elementary School in 4th grade, and I am 9. My name is Olive. I am 9 years old. I go to Pine Ridge Elementary, and I am in 4th grade.
You guys did a great job. You really did. Will you come back and do it again sometime? Say yes. Maybe if you're scheduled. I don't get it. Now, hold out for more money. That's right. Can we get the parents to stand? You guys have raised some great young ladies. Give them all a hand. Thank you very much. All right. Next up, I'll entertain a motion on the minutes. Motion and second to approve the minutes for the September 10th, 2019 City Council meeting. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That passes. We do have a resolution that we need to ask council to pass. As you know, we are planning the second ever, as far as I know, intra-city visit, the good, the bad, and the ugly, scheduled for the middle of October. And we've had some private citizens and some other funds that have been made available to us. And we need to approve a resolution to receive and expend those private donations for approximately $23,000 to cover meals and other incidentals.
Second.
There's a motion second to approve that resolution. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That passes. One last thing I want to make mention of, and this is really, council received this press release, and we just wanted to kind of let the citizens know that we've talked a lot about the census and about how critical it is that we try to get a complete count. It impacts everything from the representation that we have as individuals at the state and the federal level to money that comes from the federal government based entirely upon population. And as we discussed the other day, it even has an impact in certain areas of the community. For example, if there's an area of the community that's been wanting a certain restaurant or a nice retail facility, these are some of the numbers used by the marketing reps to determine whether or not this is a good business decision. So it is absolutely essential that we get a very, very good count of the individuals living in Muskogee County. And they have started they've started walking through some neighborhoods. They'll do that through, I think, October 18th. And you should be able to ask for credentials. They should have a badge. They'll also be carrying a briefcase with some data from the Census Bureau. But we urge you to help them accomplish their task, and that is getting an accurate count within our community. So just wanted to make the citizens aware of that. If you see people knocking on doors, they're from the government. They're here to help you. So try to give them all the assistance you can, please. All right, yes, sir, Councilor Huff.
Mr. City Manager, while I have Pastor Stallion in the audience, I had spoken to him briefly. I wanted to try to set the meeting up we talked about for the public on the changing of the garbage day from Friday to Tuesday for those 2,000 people. He's been generous enough to say he would host it at Mount Pilgrim. So if you reach out to him, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Good deal. All right. Next up, Mr. City Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. We do have several business items to get through, and several with a vote will be needed. First up is the amendment to the UDO, Section 3.2.72 on small wireless facilities, small cell. It's ready for a vote.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? If not, Bruce, would you cue it? And councilors, please register your votes. And that passes.
All right. Next, we have some public hearings. The first one is a zoning hearing for property at 2932, 2938, 2944 Macon Road. Proposed zoning is neighborhood commercial for a fast food restaurant. Recommended for approval, applicant Stephen Faulkner. Mr. Faulkner here? Okay. Let's see if there's anybody that has questions around the table. Anybody in the audience besides Mr. Faulkner concerned with this tonight? All right. You don't have to make a presentation.
No, you don't have to, but we're getting a lot of questions. What kind of restaurant?
Come on up, Mr. Faulkner. Just give them your name and address for the record and tell them what you're planning on putting in.
All right, for the record, my name is Eric Hamner with TTL, 2890 Rice Mine Road, Northeast in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I work for Mr. Stephen Faulkner. He was unable to attend tonight. Question as to what we're putting in, it's, I guess I can say now, it's a Taco Bell. Is there
Good
any other
deal.
questions?
My wife will be very happy.
Taco Bell.
Taco Bell. Yep. Any other questions for the petitioner?
Okay.
That was it. They just
We
want to know
will-
what you're going to be serving. Thank you.
We'll vote on that in 2 weeks at a 9 o'clock meeting. Mayor, the next item up, we have 2 special exception hearings. The first one is for a health and wellness facility at 710 Front Avenue, located within the historic district. Requires a special exception, and it is recommended for approval by Planning Advisory Commission and the Planning Department. And we understand that the parking variance in this case has been granted. Mr. Jones, verify that. That's correct.
Councilor Barnes?
I have to recuse myself from this.
All right, there's a request from Councilor
All right.
Barnes and I think from Mayor Pro Tem.
I would also have to recuse myself from them since I'm on the board.
That's appropriate. They're both on the regional
All right,
commission.
I'll entertain a motion to recuse Councilors Barnes and Mayor Pro Tem Pugh. Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? They are
All right.
recused from the vote.
Let's ask the applicant, Ms. Joanne Kogel, if she would come on up one more time, give her name and address, and then we'll see who else wants to be heard.
Hi, I'm Joanne Kogel, and I still live at 732 Second Avenue in downtown, in the historic district. I am the owner of CrossFit CSG, and we do functional fitness. It's a gym, and we've been operating for just over a year now. And we have the majority of our classes are in the morning at 5:30 a.m. and the highest count of our attendance for our classes 5:30 a.m., 5:30 p.m. We're pretty quiet throughout the day. So we share a parking lot with RVRC and have gone through the appropriate steps to have that parking requirement changed, and yeah, here we are. Again.
Any questions from Ms. Kogel?
Any questions around the table? Okay. Let's see if anybody in the audience wants to be heard on this petition. All right, don't see any hands. Well, come on up. Got one.
My name is Jim Livingston, I'm the Executive Director of the River Valley Regional Commission. Office address is 710 Front Avenue. We own this building. It's about a 20,000 square foot building. We did not realize the parking issues originally. We've gone through a variance request for this. We have the appropriate number of parking spaces. There is never a parking issue at this location. It was a simple matter of making sure that our businesses are work in such a way that they work together. So we don't have parking issues at this location.
Councilor Thomas?
Mr. Jones, has that variance been approved?
Councilor Thomas, yes, ma'am. They made application for the BCA back in, I believe, July, and they were approved for this, or early August. They were approved for this variance request.
So the variance request is for 33 parking places for both the gym and
For everything, for those spaces to serve that building, that was the variance what was given to them.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, this is ready for a vote tonight, Mayor, so.
There's a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? All right, Bruce, if you would please cue it. Councilors, register your votes, please. All right, and that passes.
Okay, looks like a 6-2. All right, that has passed.
Wait a minute, let's make sure. That's correct? Okay.
All right, thank y'all for being here.
Yes, sir.
That
Yes, sir.
you did,
Well, that's why I was asking. So that's an inconclusive vote, that, before you leave. That's why,
Two who recuse themselves.
yeah, we had 2 that recused themselves, 2 against. There's only 9 here. I went to
Should be
Columbus Side a
7.
long time ago, but I think that means 5. So it's an inconclusive, but, well, I think what happened is Mayor Pro Tem accidentally hit green. She was trying to hit the yellow for recused.
Okay.
So it is inconclusive.
All right, so we'll have to bring that back in 2 weeks. Okay, Mr. Livingston, at the 9 o'clock meeting in 2 weeks.
Okay?
All right?
Thank you, Mr. City. I thought so, but I didn't trust my math.
The next special exception hearing is for the same type of health and wellness facility at 627 2nd Avenue. It's located in the Historic District, also recommended for approval. Applicant is Christopher Wilkes. Y'all are here tonight. Come on up. Give them your name and address for the record, and then we'll see if there are any questions.
My name is Christopher Wilkes. I'm the owner of Art of Yoga. It's a yoga studio that's been in the Historic District for probably over the past 10 years now or so. We do very quiet activities. We meditate, we stretch, we breathe deeply, and we create a better world from the inside out and share that with everyone else. The class sizes are usually pretty small, like 5 or less people, so we don't take up too much parking. We're not jumping around, clanging weights or anything, just moving our bodies gracefully in motion. We're located at 627 2nd Avenue, Suite 6, and I've been the owner since December 2018.
Oh, hang on, let's see if anybody else wanted to comment either way. Anybody in the audience want to be heard on this petition? Okay.
All right, did we have a motion and a second? All right, then any further discussion? Bruce, please cue it up. Please cast your votes. That passes.
That does pass. All right, thank you for being here, Mr. Wilkes. Mayor, okay.
Yeah, just 1 second, excuse me, Mr. City Attorney. Councilor Davis?
No, I'm just curious, Mr. Mayor, if I may, I don't think this is out of line, but we had an inconclusive vote and a conclusive vote, both on the subject of special exception. I'd like to ask what the arguments are.
Well, I think, I'll leave it to the city attorney, but I believe each one's considered on its own merits. And apparently there were at least 2 counselors that felt like, I know Mr. Wilkes, when he started his, he actually bought an already performing business and just stepped into it. It had been been working for a while. And then I think Ms. Kogel is bringing a relatively new business in there, and I guess it was viewed differently from council.
I thought it was originally approved. Is this not a matter of parking? It's a parking variance? I thought the parking variance has been approved.
If the parking variance was approved, but it still has to be allowed as a special exception from a legal perspective, because the zoning doesn't allow it, but you voted to allow it to be considered as a special exception by council. So even though the parking was approved by BZA, the use had to be approved by this body.
That's right.
All right, Councilor Woodson?
Yes, I need Rick to come forward because I thought when we were going through the whole process about the CrossFit gym being in the historic district, there was a concern about this one also being operating when it wasn't supposed to be. Isn't that correct? Or something happened there in that process? Because this one was there for a long time, but it was something in the UDO. It
Well-
shouldn't have been in there. Then we forgave it or something because we had given
ma'am,
the other person.
Let me try to revamp this as best I know how, working off memory as well. You may recall, we started this process with the one in the Regional Valley's offices back in December of last year. It's been this long. And you graciously gave them an extension of time in terms of like 180 days, and then we extended another 180 days involved with that because we were trying to work through the process, and we have worked through the process because we finally made a determination about, in that particular case, about what could actually go in there, how could they get in there, what it took. And if you recall, you actually amended the UDO to allow for this particular use to go into a historic district, but under a special exception requirement. And if you also require, it was very explicit in that ordinance that you had to meet the parking requirements, had to. Well, in their examination of looking at the parking, which we required them to do, we required them to go back and say, find us how you're going to take care of your parking. There is another section of that lot that's just north of the existing lot that belongs to River Valley. That lot belongs, though, to the city of Columbus, Georgia. And so when we met with them, we said that the planning department or the inspection department, really nobody, none of the department heads who really could grant that authorization for that parking. That had to go back through the city manager's office involved with that. We also said that you need to look at anything basically within 500 feet as being potential for parking because the UDO does allow that. If you're within 500 feet and you provide additional parking, you can meet the parking requirements that way. They did all due diligence in that regard. They sent the information out to the city manager's office. He has some concerns about utilizing that parking, knowing that we had overflow from the trade center that used that parking periodically and so forth, and just did not feel that was the way to go. And I'll let him speak for himself on that part. They did approach the trade center because of the parking garage were there, but the parking garage said no also because of the activities they had going on. So as you heard earlier tonight, for the most part, they are somewhat landlocked in that regard. And so their next option really was, legal option was really to go to the Board of Zoning Appeals and ask for a variance on the parking, which they did. They went in and they made full disclosure to the BZA about what was going on with that building and what they were trying to do with it, and the fact that it was dealing with a zoning issue before this council. And BZA heard all that information and made a determination unanimously that they would grant the variance and limit them just to those 33 parking spaces involved with all that. Once that was done, then that cleared the way for them to actually make an application, an official application to the planning department for a special exception use, which we took, which we now understand them to have legally have met the parking requirements for that particular site, because now they have a variance, and so that's why they're now before you trying to get the special exception approved. Otherwise, they cannot locate that business in there. The business has been operational, I understand, for the last 8 or 9 months, but understand it's only going to operate until you make a final determination on that. Councilor Woodson, the other one up there, I believe on 6th up there, is in an old school building that, right or wrong, probably more wrong than it was right, was granted an accessory use up there as an art studio or whatever at that time in that building. Well, when all this other information came about in terms of dealing with the health facilities, we were also told there's one up there that you need to go up there and look at as well, which we did, which inspection codes went back and said, you're really not supposed to be here. You need to file for a special exception, but you can't file for the special exception until it gets passed by council for the UDO. And that's happened. That's why they're here now for you. And we raised the same issue with inspections about, do they have enough parking? And Director Hutchison came back and said, yes, they do. They have enough parking for what they need on that site, so there's no other requirements for a variance or find additional parking. So they are set as far as meeting all the parking needs on that particular site, versus the one we have for the health and fitness center tonight, where they do legally have all the parking they're required to have, but they couldn't really expand like the operation up on the old schoolhouse. I hope that's somewhat clear to you in terms of where we are. But we got to this point basically because we did put moratoriums in place, or really extended the time frame out until we could resolve these issues. and we're at the point now where we think we're ready to resolve the issues.
So help me understand. So based on all the information you're saying, they do qualify now for that special exception, but it's up to us to determine whether they get it or not. Is
Yes,
that
ma'am,
correct?
that's exactly correct.
Okay. And we chose to do one, but not the other.
That's what I understand, based on the vote tonight, yes, ma'am.
Very unfair. Okay.
At this point, the first one is just inconclusive, but, right, no action yet.
Yeah, I just kind of feel sorry for the first one because they've been really, really going through the ringer. And we thought today this will be put to bed, and we still have to go back again and go to try to get the support for them. And they really have a nice business. It's quiet, doesn't bother anybody. They're not always busy. So it's very kind of disappointing to see that we're still unconclusive on it. And we've done exceptions for them, and yet here's the other one, and we did it immediately with no problems whatsoever.
Thank you, ma'am. Oops, sorry. Turned off the wrong one. Councilor Davis?
Mr. Jones, when you spoke about the moratorium, what is the timeline there? When is the due date on that moratorium?
I don't remember off the top of my head, Councilor Davis, do you recall? Mr. City Attorney, I'd have to go back, I really don't know.
For Mr. Wilkes is today.
Okay, Mr. Wilkes.
They voted for it.
Yeah, Mr. Wilkes is today, it's completed, but the other one, do we know?
I guess.
I don't recall, because of the fact, in my estimation right now, because of the fact they have made an application and are going through that process, that really kind of supersedes anything else we got going on right now, until they resolve the issue or we get a vote one way or the other from council, that they're still kind of in limbo right now.
So say that again. We have an inconclusive vote, so there's still,
They're still in the process.
Yeah, I mean, they're still in the process now of asking for permission to go forward, knowing full well what we've all experienced over the last 9 or 10 months. They're still operational at this time until this council makes a final determination.
okay.
Until 2 weeks from now.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Mr. City Attorney, hit your light again. I turned yours off by accident.
All right.
Okay.
Any other questions on that item? We'll bring it back in 2 weeks. All right, the mayor, if I can, if there's no objection, can we call up item 6, the building authority lease revenue refunding? We've got at least one participant here that's got to catch a plane. Angelica Alexander will introduce everybody, but there has been a big savings with this action today, and she will explain it. Appreciate you being here.
Good evening. As you may recall, council authorized, back in August, council authorized the issuance of refunding bonds to defease our 2010B, 2010C, and 2018 bonds. The sale of those bonds was conducted earlier today. The Columbus Building Authority met to ratify the sale, and so now we're here requesting council's approval for the sale of those bonds. But before you cast your vote, I'd like to introduce Doug Gebhardt from Davenport and Company to just share with council through a brief presentation the results of the sale. We also have with us tonight our bond counsel, Mr. John Pennell, and they're here to answer any questions that council may have, but I'd like to call up Mr. Gebhardt at this time.
Thank you, Angelica, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Again, my name is Doug Gebhardt. I'm with Davenport and Company, the city's financial advisor. We're here today to share some great news about some savings. As Angelica mentioned, we got permission to move forward with the refinancing of 3 series of bonds earlier this year, and that was the 2010Bs, 2010Cs, and 2018 bonds. As part of that authorization, it allowed us to go meet with the rating agencies. We had a good meeting. The mayor was able to join us there, market the bonds through a preliminary official statement, and today was the sale of those bonds, which occurred at 10:30 this morning through a competitive bid process. Wanted to report back to you today that the credit ratings that we received back on the bonds were AA2 and AA plus respectively from Moody's and Standard & Poor's. The AA plus is just one notch off from the highest possible rating. The AA2 is just a tier below, but still solidly in the very strong credit rating. So it's something that the city should be very proud of, and we want to continue to work towards building those credit ratings to lower our interest costs. Just some feedback on what the rating agencies had to say about the city is that, that you guys do have a substantial tax base, a stable financial position. We want to improve that to a very strong financial position and moderate fixed costs, meaning debt service and pension burdens, things like that. Some of the challenges are there is some economically sensitive revenues and slightly below average wealth and income levels. However, we've tried to tell the story such that it would allow and account for the revenues and the income associated with Fort Gordon, Fort Benning, and all the positive economic benefit that it had for you guys there. S&P, again, affirmed the AA plus rating. That's what you guys were rated previously. There's 7 main rating categories that they report on, ranging from very weak to very strong. It's interesting to note that 4 of the 7 were the highest possible, very strong rating. Two of them were the next tier down at strong, and 1 at adequate, which was the economy. And we're doing all we can to continue that positive economic momentum here in the city. And I think with continued growth and improved income levels, we can see some upward pressure as it relates to Moody's. We talked a little bit when we were here previously about the interest rate 10s. You couldn't have picked a better time to go to market to take advantage of these refunding savings. The charts here are what's called the AAA MMD, municipal market data. It's the benchmark yield that we use to price municipal bonds. The left-hand side of the page is the 20 years since 2000, and the right-hand side is from November of 2016. You can see there in November of 16, there was a little bit of a spike due to the presidential election, talking about deficit spending and then the infrastructure that was going to be built, and it's kind of muddled along. And then at the end of last year, the Fed talked about that they were going to be increasing rates a number of times coming into 2019. However, as we know, that didn't happen. And the rates had continued to drop substantially since the beginning of the year. Again, here's just a range of where we stand today. The dark green lines are the highs and lows for each in any given year on the MMD. So in year 1, the lowest it's ever been is right around 0.1 or something like that, and the highest right around 0.45. The yellow line is where the AAA MMD stands today. So you can see that basically starting in year 8 out through year 30, while we're not at the very bottom, we're pretty darn close and able to take advantage of these interest rate markets to realize some savings. As I mentioned today, we put the bids out for competitive sale. We put the POS, the preliminary official statement, out a week in advance of the sale, which allowed any and all underwriters to bid on the bonds, which were due at 10:30 today. We ended up getting 8 bids, which is an incredible result, and Morgan Stanley was the winning bidder, who provided a TIC of a 2.35%. It's interesting to note that the high to low spread between the winning bid and the last bid was 15 basis points, so that's part of why we go through the competitive process to ensure that we secure the lowest possible financing at the given rate at that given time. So we gave the verbal award today, and the building authority at the meeting at 2 p.m. accepted their bid. The final pricing results, here's the coupons and yields. All told, there'll be roughly $75 million of bonds that are sold that are going to be used to refinance the 3 series. Over the next few weeks, we're going to go through the validation process, and October 22nd, we're going to be closing on these bonds. And the moment that you guys have sort of all been waiting for is how much did we save? And they have great news to report that all told today, over the life of the loan, we're going to be saving $13.4 million in avoided interest costs, roughly $680,000 a year. That's all going to be reallocated towards infrastructure spending. One of the things that we measure is savings on a present value basis on a percentage. The industry standard to move forward is right around 3% or so. We're at 13.3, so over 4 times the industry standard to move forward. So we're really excited about the results. I think when we were here last time, the savings were around $10 million, so we got substantially better results today than what we were anticipated. And what we're asking you to do this evening is to approve the results and ratify the contract with the building authority. And I'm happy to answer any financial questions, and if there's any legal questions, Mr. Pennell will be here to answer those.
Mr. Mayor, when we have good news like that, he didn't follow my instructions. You're supposed to repeat it 2 or 3 times. And so I need him to say it one more time. Would you say it, Angelica?
I'll say it, $13.4 million in savings. And as Doug alluded to, most of the savings is infrastructure. These bonds are paid with OLOS dollars. About 97%, closely 98% of the bond debt service is paid from OLOS infrastructure. So the actual savings for OLOS infrastructure is about $13.1 million over the life of the bonds.
Doug, we're grateful. We appreciate everything that you and John and Courtney have done. It was kind of fun watching you guys do your thing, and as you talk to the rating agencies. But I also want to lift up Angelica and her team in the finance department, who are constantly monitoring our situation so that we can be on the lookout for an opportunity to do something like this. I don't know that we thought you'd ring the bell this loud, but yeah, I think we can, especially when it was being paid for by OLOS funds. That's really going to help us from an infrastructure standpoint. So, thank you, gentlemen. We appreciate everything you do.
I move that we vote to ratify this.
Motion and a second. I'm surprised it took that long, but motion and a second. Bruce, can you cue that? Councilors, if you'd vote, please. It is unanimous. Passes. Very good.
All right. Thank y'all for traveling.
Thank you, gentlemen.
This evening. Appreciate your help. Now, Mayor, we do have one more resolution. This is allowing the waterworks, the request of the water board here, to give preliminary authorization to issue up to $52 million in taxable refunding revenue bonds. And Mr. Steve Davis is here, and he's got some folks with him, including his new CFO. I think he wants to introduce everybody.
Welcome, Mr. Davis.
Welcome. Mayor Henderson, City Councilors, it's my privilege to introduce Alex Hinton. She's our new Senior Vice President of Finance and Accounting. She comes to us. She's a lifelong resident of the Columbus region. She's an Auburn grad. For those of you who may say War Eagle, you've got a patriot here. She's a CPA. She's got about 20 years of experience in accounting and finance, and she's been with us about a month now. And she's hit the ground running. She's got working with our bond refunding team and building a good network of support in the financial area. So with that, we're really glad to have Alex on board with us.
Welcome, Alex.
Nice to meet you.
And we've got our team. We're refunding a bond, certainly not as magnitude of what y'all just discussed. We wish we could hope for that kind of savings, but we'll look for a good savings as we go forward. We're kind of in the early stages, and we've got our team here, and looking forward for y'all's approval for us to move forward with our bond refunding.
All right. And there is a resolution.
Yes, all we need is a motion to give this authorization.
It's a motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? If you would cue it, Bruce. Councilors, please cast your votes. That is approved.
That has passed.
Thank you very much.
Steve, thank you for what you do and what all you folks do over at the Waterworks. We appreciate y'all, and welcome, Alex. You're on a good team.
Yeah. We won't hold that Auburn reference against her now. All right. Thank y'all for being here. Mayor, the only other thing we need later is an executive session related to litigation and real estate acquisition. That's all we had listed right now.
Okay. All right, well, we'll move into the public agenda. And I'll remind everybody that they've got 5 minutes from the time they begin their comments. First up is Ms. Loretta Wright. Is Ms. Wright here? She is not here. Ms. Audrey Holston Palmore. Welcome, Ms. Palmore. If you would, state your name, your address. Ms. Palmer, you'll need to go ahead and go to the podium. Ms. Palmer, your time is ticking. Go ahead. We'll go to your podium and you can begin your comments. Thank you.
Good evening, citizens of Columbus, Georgia. My time is 5 minutes. I wanted to confirm that.
Yes, ma'am, but I waited for a while, but you were using a lot of council's time by asking the clerk information, asking me information. You go ahead. You can have 3 minutes at the end of the meeting if you need it.
Good evening, citizens of Columbus, Georgia. I am Audrey Holston Palmore. I presently reside at 1035 Lawyers Lane in Midtown. I applied to appear on this evening public agenda for the purpose of continuing my appeal to receive documentation that accurately reflects the contents of a police report filed by a Columbus Police law enforcement officer's account of events that involved me. I have been coming before this council, not necessarily the same members, but since December 2017. At that time, the public safety director was Mrs. Teresa Tomlinson. I came throughout the year of 2018 and never received any information as I requested to meet with the safety public director, Teresa Tomlinson, from January the 18th, 2018 until December 2018. I would not receive any comments about what I was concerned about from the office of the mayor, verbally nor written. Well, 2019 has did arrive, and I had the same concern that I had December 2017. Excuse me. And Skip Henderson Mr. Henderson is the new public safety director. Now, on yesterday, I picked up a letter, written communication from the public safety director. And Mr. Henderson, as he said on February the 12th of this year, said that he would meet with me and his assistant in order to get an update on the concern that I have about, I forgot to turn it off, but that's okay. I'll just open it up and check them out later. Just a little oversight. But this is a letter the Public Safety Center in spite of my continuous calls during the 2018 year. Skip Henderson, the Public Safety Director, is now ready to sit down, and I think that this letter will reflect that. Dear Mrs. Oh, you could miss. I visit down the walking room like that. An in-person meeting has been scheduled for Tuesday, October the 1st, 2019 at 11:30 in the Mayor's Office Conference Room in the Government Center Tower, 110th Street, Columbus, Georgia, 31902. If you have any questions or I can be of further assistance, please feel free to call. The telephone number is 706-225-3163. Thanks, and it's signed by Alexis Thompson. I'm very, I don't know if I can be heard, but I know the letter was written. Okay, but I can be assured that in July, you told me you were going to check on some information concerning the report. We're here. I'd like for you to review the report on October 1st.
Ma'am, your time's up. I'm sorry, Ms. Palmore.
That's okay, I can wait.
Okay, we can too. So if you would, take your seat, and you can come back at the end of the clerk's agenda.
Okay, I just want to thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am.
And as I leave, this is the police report.
Thank you
that I'm
very
talking
much.
about.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay, we have, I think the clerk has informed us that Mr. Turner has rescheduled, and Mr. Johnston was unable to attend this evening, so Ms. Teresa Elamine, representing SARN. Oh, I'm sorry, yes, ma'am. Councilor Woodson?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I would like to bring back the resolution of special exception for 710 Front Avenue, please.
Is that a motion to recall? Can we do that?
Yes, you may reconsider it.
Second.
There hadn't been an official vote anyway.
Motion and second to reconsider the motion on the property on Front Avenue. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. So now we can just take another vote.
I make a motion that we approve it.
Second. All right, there's a motion and a second to approve.
Do you want to recue this like you had before, Mayor?
Is that recusal not still in effect?
No, but I'm talking about recue.
Oh, recue it, I'm sorry.
Can we do that?
I apologize. Yeah, I guess we can do that. So there's a motion and a second to approve, so if we can get it re-queued on the screen, and council can cast their votes. Just a second, not yet. All right, now council can enter their votes.
Wait,
I still
Charmaine didn't register.
show
Her didn't register.
it's not registering.
Charmaine's light's not coming on. Allow her to vote.
All right, let's clear it and let's try it again. Now, councilors, please enter your votes.
Now we go.
Okay.
Pass.
Passed 6-2 with 2 recusal.
Okay.
Thank
All
you,
right, so
Mr.
that
Mayor.
does pass.
All right. Okay.
All right, Ms. Elamine, thank you for your patience, ma'am. I'm sorry. If you-
No, you're doing the people's business. I appreciate knowing that the issue is resolved on this. Ms. Woodson, good call.
Yes, ma'am. Please state your name and your address, if you don't mind.
Teresa Elamine, 3911 Steam Mill Road. And I do have 22 copies of a document. When Ms. Glisson was here, she would be the one to pass it out to everyone who does that from the clerk.
If we could get the, take
Oh,
those.
you can do that. Thank you. I actually have 2 things for this evening. In terms of my comments. What you are receiving now is a document that was provided by Verona Campbell, Director of Real Estate Extraordinaire of the Housing Authority of Columbus, Georgia. She presented last night at the Forum on Economic Development, Education, Crime, and Poverty. It was an important discussion. Mr. Jones couldn't make it, and he's agreed to come back at a later date to share with us information about the 7 tax allocation districts. Now, it's important to note that of the 7 tax allocation districts, only 1 has a developer that has weighed in. So the Liberty District and all the other TADs that have been approved by you have no motion going on with them. So there, in essence, is no economic development going on in those areas, except, say, the Midtown area. But the Midland Commons TAD with Flournoy Calhoun as a developer is moving around quite a bit of dirt, I understand, up there. But we do need to revisit this issue of the crime that's associated with the lack of economic development and jobs, and therefore the problem with education and poverty. And I did post a report on the Columbus Concerned Citizens 16,000 member group. So I think quite a few of you may be in that group, and you probably read the full report. But the other thing I want to revisit, which I promised I would, is my whistleblower complaint from February of this year, where I recommended some corrective action for the Crime Prevention Department and its process. And as some of you may know, we are 3 months into the fiscal year, and the contracts, some of them might be signed, some of them not. So there's a real unevenness with that. I signed the contract for the SPICE program on September 17, after the city attorney and the city manager had signed. My impression was no one else's contract has been signed by the people who are waiting for the checks. And since Ms. Thomas made a real point to explain to people how the crime prevention money works, that we don't get the whole money at once like you would do with a real grant. It's given to us supposedly on a prorated basis, month by month. So that would mean $1,166 for a $20,000 contract. I don't have a dime yet, and it's 3 months into the fiscal year. And so I think that the whole thing needs to be revisited in terms of how it operates, because I think a quarterly reporting basis is better, because the program I'm doing is on a 6-month schedule. So if I'm only getting money after I turn in a report for 1 month, and then I'm getting that, it's not a grant. It's totally not a grant. But more importantly, it hampers our ability to really do the contracts and the programs as described. When Mr. Brown asked me for the 990s, it seems like there are more obstacles. But I will want to finally say that I appreciate Councilmember Barnes and Councilmember House appropriately recusing themselves. Mr. City Attorney, I think it was very appropriate for them to recuse themselves. So I know that means my time is up. I do have a meeting with you, thanks to Alexis.
Yes, ma'am.
She's doing a great job.
Yes, she
so
is.
we'll be talking in October.
Yes, ma'am.
So I have
look
a
forward
meeting
to
with
it.
you, and let's talk about this, because I want to vote if a vote is required. I do.
All right, thank you, Ms. Elamine.
Thank you.
Okay, move on to the city manager's agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've just got a couple of items and two updates. The first item is a Georgia Emergency Management Explosive Ordnance Disposal K-9 program grant at $6,000. There is no match required on this grant. Asking your approval.
Second. Motion and a second to approve item 1. Any discussion? Bruce, please cue it. Councilors, enter your votes, please. It passes.
And, Mr. Mayor, I've got a couple of purchases.
Second. There's a motion second to approve all of the purchases, A, B, and C. Is there anybody like one pulled or any questions on one of them? If not, Bruce, if you cue it, councilors can vote, and Mr. City Manager, if you would, walk through what these three purchases are.
The first one, Mr. Mayor's annual maintenance renewal for Cisco switches related to our information technology. And the second one, it's actually a B1 and a B2. It's 8 Chevrolet Tahoe Pursuit vehicles from the Georgia State contract, 4 for Columbus Police Department, 4 for Sheriff. Total cost for all of them, $267,117. And the B portion is because we are going through the GMA direct lease program for the purchases, and we're asking you to approve that. So
okay. And
those are the purchases.
Still 5 councilors that have not entered their votes.
No, I'm sorry.
That's all right. He did.
Yeah, it's actually,
B and
B and C would be 8 vehicles
C was
on
the
B.
financing
and
for
then
B.
Yeah.
They're not 16.
That's right. That's right.
All right, and that passes.
And, Mr. Mayor, I've got just a couple of updates. They're short. Transportation update and the government center SPLOST update. Deputy City Manager Pam Hodge is handling both of those.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is just an update on some of the transportation projects, and I'll be happy to answer any questions if you have a question about a specific project. As you know, transportation funding is from multiple funding sources. We have OLOST, the paving fund, the T-SPLOST discretionary, T-SPLOST projects, GDOT grants, and the LMIG funds, which comes from the state. The active projects, the first 6 are kind of wrapping up or already have been completed. The Follow Me Trail Bridge, we just have a few more items to complete to have that finished. The Forest Road Phase 1, which will be scheduling a ribbon cutting, tentatively has been set for Mayor Pro Tem on October the 22nd. Bibb Mill and City Mill Riverwalk. The Winton Road streetscapes that we're just finishing that up, had some signal work and some finishing touches on that. They've done the last walkthrough with GDOT, so we had a few punch list items for the contractor to finish. And then the MLK Trail and resurfacing. If you haven't driven down Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, it is awesome. It looks, I went down there again today, and it just looks really good. We still have some signal work to finish on that project, but it really is makes a difference in that, on that street. And then I'll kind of walk through the Fort Benning Road streetscapes and roundabout and the River Road. I have some pictures for those of you who haven't traveled those areas recently. It's really changing that Fort Benning, Brennan Road realignment roundabout project. This is actually looking from Brennan Road south as you're coming in. This is the roundabout, again, looking from Brennan Road south. It is a very large roundabout. If you haven't driven out there, you need to drive by and take a look. It's really going to be something to see. This is, again, from Brennan Road. You can see the Family Dollar. The Avalon Apartments would be on the left. This is looking Casita Road area. Family Dollar, you can see on the right. Casita Road going west. This is the west side of the roundabout on Casita Road. There'll be some improvements there. You can see the trail being put in as well. This is Fort Benning Road looking north. You see the Family Dollar would be on the right. This is Lakeside Drive looking east towards the Avalon Apartments. And again, this is Casita Road looking west, just really changing how that area looks. On the River Road roundabout, we see the same kind of construction going on. This is Cascade looking east. You can see again, they also have the 10-foot wide sidewalk trail. Cascade, again, looking east. And this is River Road looking south with the medical offices that are off Bradley Park on the left-hand side. Bradley Park looking east, you can see Brookstone School on the right, kind of off in the distance. Bradley Park looking west. Bradley Park looking east right before you get to the school, and again, you'll see the sidewalk trails going in, the culvert that was reconstructed there at Bradley Park. They were installing the truck apron recently. I know a lot of people say that the roundabouts won't hold 18-wheelers. Well, that's what the truck apron is for. That is for them to make their way around the roundabout. And this is River Road looking north. Green Island Drive would be on the left, and there will be a cul-de-sac there with the trail leading onto the cul-de-sac there on Green Island Drive. River Road south, again, Green Island Drive is on the right. And this is Green Island Drive looking towards Cascade. And this is Green Island Drive going north. So those are the two major projects that are under construction as we're wrapping up some of the other projects. We have quite a few under design at this point. The Buena Vista Road Spiderweb, a $48 million project. We're finishing up right away on that particular project.
And Deputy City Manager, I'm going to interrupt you here, but I want just to call to those who are watching by television, the fact that we've got transportation projects going on throughout Columbus, not just in one area of Columbus. And I noticed that you put some dollar figures on the next several projects that you're going to cover. And I just want to give people at home a chance to get the calculators out and start calculating what's being spent on these projects and where the money is being spent, because too often I hear that everything's going on the north side of town, and people think that there's disparity in how you spend money. And so to get your calculator out and see where these projects are and start adding as she goes through these next several projects, and you'll really, I mean, you can go back to the Fort Benning Road streetscapes and Brennan Road alignment and the roundabout, but just start calculating. And so I just wanted to pause to say that, because I hear that too often. So thank you.
Sure. Just to go back, as the city manager mentioned, this is the Spiderweb project, a $48 million project. That is a T-SPLOST project. The interchange at 185, a $40 million project. This will be handled by GDOT because it has federal highways involved. This is also a T-SPLOST project. They are under right-of-way acquisition. They are telling us that they expect to complete right-of-way by the end of the year. We'll wait and see if that happens. We think that's a very aggressive schedule, but they're still sticking to it. The Casita Road 185 interchange, $58 million project. Now, this is one of the concepts that's been reviewed. That is also a T-SPLOST project, and this will add to the Fort Benning Road roundabout. This will connect those together. It's going to totally transform this area. This is the same area that we have the trailer park demolition that's going on, so really making some improvements in that area of our community. Another GDOT project is the two proposed roundabouts at Beaver Run, Macon Road.
So I'm going to interrupt again, because I
Yes,
really
sir.
want people to focus. Now, we've talked about Bradley Park and River Road, and we've talked about all these other projects in the south area, and now you're talking about Beaver Run and Macon Road. It's all over town, so I just want people to get it.
Other projects that are under development or design, we have quite a few bridges that we're designing right now: Benning Drive Bridge, Reese Road Bridge, Clarendon Bridge, the Calumet Drive Culvert, Infantry Road and Trail that will connect the Follow Me Trail over to the Riverwalk. Mott's Green renovation, we hope to be out to bid relatively soon on that project. And then the Fortson Road, Williams Road intersection, that's also a roundabout that's getting close to going out to bid. So as the city manager mentioned, we have projects in some form or fashion, whether it's under construction or under design or going through right-of-way acquisition all over our community.
And so would you just quickly mention South Lumpkin Road? Councilor Woodson has been asking about what we're doing on South Lumpkin Road. And so if you just mention
Sure.
that quickly.
We, in this FY20 budget, we added 2 projects to study, and that is what can we do on South Lumpkin Road for beautification and the streetscapes, as well as Brennan Road. So those projects will go through the MPO, and we'll be coming back to council with an agreement in order to move forward. We'll go through the RFP process to select a firm to provide us the best options for that particular area. So again, that's South Lumpkin Road and Brennan Road. This year, the ones that we're looking at is J.R. Allen, as well as Second Avenue streetscapes. So those are going through the RFP review process now, and then these will come shortly thereafter.
From what time frame? Do you know roughly? No dates, just time frame. Beginning of the year, middle of the year?
Let us get back to you.
We'll get those dates, too.
Because we don't want to put it out over the air, and then we,
That's fine, that's
Yeah.
understandable, but I want to have some hope.
but, and then we also have some money to look at, and the mayor brought this Steam Mill Road thing up with all that was going on. And
Yes, so that's another project that we're looking at in order to add sidewalks. The RFP specifications are being developed now, and so we should be getting a consultant on board shortly to start looking at what improvements we can make on the Steam Mill Road.
Very good. Councilor Davis is up next, and Ms. Palmore, I do see, and I apologize, but we don't typically entertain questions from the audience during updates. Yes, ma'am, I know you do, but we don't typically take questions from the audience. I'm sorry. But you will have an opportunity to come back up at the end of the meeting. You can mention it then. Thank you very much. Councilor Davis?
Yes, Mr. City Manager, I wanted to go back and just touch real briefly, a couple comments about the road improvements there at River Road and Bradley Park in that area. And you know, with some of this alternative transportation, if you remember back when I first came on council, that was the #1 issue in the district. You remember that, and it was, we had somebody else that was involved in it. I think Donna Newman was, our traffic engineer was involved in it, but couldn't find a solution, and then as time went by, we were able to come up with this solution. Now, I've heard some people, it's kind of some people for and against, but when you do the research, it's usually like that, and then after they experience these improvements, everybody seems to love it or they fall in love with it. But what I wanted to say, one, I'm glad we finally found a solution, but two, I've been hearing a tremendous amount of positive comments about the construction efforts, the construction crew, from Brookstone School and others about what's going on there. And the reason I say that is this is so much different than in the past, because people would always talk about when is it ever going to get finished. Now I'm hearing something completely different that I've never heard before, and these projects seem to be moving along pretty well, and people have been really impressed. So kudos for the contractor. I believe it's Southeastern, the contractor there, but they have been doing an excellent job, and I just want to pass that on to the administration, what I'm hearing in the community as far as their efforts. And, I hate, Mayor, I hate doing this when I feel like they're on the 10-yard line, I don't want to, we got to get it on into the goal line, past the goal line, but I think they've been really impressive. So I just wanted to say that because it's totally different tune than in the past.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Councilor Thomas?
I went through that intersection today, and as I was sitting there waiting for the traffic light, I was thinking, it's not going to be long before I don't have to wait for a traffic light. I can go around this roundabout. And I did hang my head out the window and tell the guys that were working we were going to miss them. And one of the guys said, no, you're not going to miss. But one of the things that has come up with some degree of regularity is people suggesting that we may want to do something to help teach people how to drive through a roundabout. And I know there are a number of videos that are available that do that. Do we have any of those on our website, Mr. City Manager? Do you recall? If we don't, let's put one on there with a real easy way to get to it, so that if people would like to have a refresher on how to maneuver at a roundabout, it would be available.
We can certainly do that.
Thank you.
That's a good idea. Thank you, ma'am. Councilor Davis, do you have something else? Yes, sir.
And adding to that, I think the FDOT, the Federal Department of Transportation, has some great information and videos out on that. That may be the first place you want to look.
Yeah, we can.
Good deal. Thank you, sir.
And Mr. Mayor, and these are not all of the projects that are being worked on. She could have mentioned Toblerton Road and just, there is so much going on just all over, from Center City to east and west, north and south. We've got projects all over this community. Just great things going on.
There's a lot going on, and I appreciate Councilor Davis giving a little bit of ups to our engineering folks and to Deputy City Manager Hodge. And I don't mean this negative against DOT because they do an awesome job, but it's no secret that when we are doing these projects and we're engineering them, we can move them along quicker.
Yeah.
And y'all have done a great job in getting this done. Looking forward to the completion date.
So with that, Mr. Mayor and Council, the Government Center SPLOST update.
So just wanted to give you an update as we're moving through the timeline on the Government Center and the SPLOST. We did receive the proposals back this month from Design Services, responses to the Design Service RFQ. Those are under review, and the plan is to have those back to council for an approval at the first business meeting in November. So we did receive quite a few responses, and we're reviewing those. The CM at risk was released in September. Those are due back on October 11th. And so those will come forward. We'll go through that review process and have those back to council for approval as we continue to move forward and review the options. Just to go through those options quickly again, option 2 on the Government Center was the existing site with the complete demolition of the tower wings and the parking garage with new facilities on that existing site. They will also look at option 4, which was a new site, a new judicial center, new admin building, and new parking garage. They will also study and provide feedback to us on the feasibility for the restoration of the Government Center, including all those things that are necessary for that restoration, providing suitable space for a temporary relocation, the cost of that relocation, retrofitting space while construction and restoration is going on to accommodate the courtrooms, holding cells, and offices, and providing security for that temporary location. And the relocation of the IT department are just some of those things that will be considered as we're evaluating the restoration of the Government Center process. The advertising of the government center with conditions, we're still working on that request for information to include those things that we've discussed in the past, remaining in the tower during that construction period, the resolution of the county seat, rent during the construction of no more than market rate, the type of development that we would be looking for in the government center, the timeline for that tower restoration so that it does not remain vacant, and parking arrangements, whether shared or independent. Those parameters will come back to council for approval before that request for information is released for responses. The timeline for the SPLOST, this is just a reminder, the first series of public meetings, and I'll go through that shortly, will be October through February of next year. March to June, we'll go back with the second series. We actually think there'll probably be 3 series of public meetings to go back to the citizens before we come back to council in July with a presentation and a resolution and the call for election in August, with the ballot planned for November 3rd of 2020. With the approval of that SPLOST, the collections would then begin April 1st of 2021. And this is the SPLOST public meetings that we have proposed from 6 to 7:30. We have scheduled one in each of the 8 council districts, and I just need confirmation from the councilors that these meetings work for them. I've heard back from most of you. If there's any conflicts with those meetings, please get with me so we can make sure we can rearrange the dates appropriately. But we scheduled those to begin October the 24th, the first one for District 1. That would be here in the council chambers in this room. October the 28th at South Columbus United Methodist Church. That's for District 3. October the 29th in the Comer Gym, and that would be for District 8. Anyone who wants to come to the meeting, they don't necessarily have to go to the one that's in their district, but we're just trying to move them around and make sure that they're all over the community, make it convenient for everyone. November the 4th at Northside Rec Center for District 2. November the 7th at Shirley B. Winston at District 4. November the 18th at Salvation Army Worship Center, that would be in District 6. November the 19th at the Annex, there at the corner of 10th Street and Veterans, that's District 7. And November the 21st, which is Faith Worship Center, that's for District 5. So these are the meetings that we have set up, and we'll start getting those posted and out to the public so they can come. The agenda would be just an opening from that district counselor. What we plan to do is provide them just a list of all the projects that our department directors have presented for the public to review that list and add to and take away from, just for discussion purposes. We want to provide them kind of a starting point for them to look at. We want to get their input. That's why this process is so important, is to get citizen input on what SPLOST projects they would like to have included on that referendum. We'll have some interactive exercises and open discussion for the citizens to participate in, as well as a way for those who are not able to attend a meeting to provide any feedback as well. So I'll be happy to answer any questions on that schedule or related to the SPLOST.
Any questions for Deputy City Manager Hodge? Councilor Huff.
Just wanted to confirm I'm fine with the 28th.
Awesome, thank you.
Councilor Thomas?
Ms. Hodge, I'm a little nervous about the putting out a list of projects. When we do that, please, 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 make sure that everybody understands this is not an approved list. It's a list of suggestions. Nothing has been decided on that list. I've had several people say to me, well, I hear this is on the list. Well, no, not yet. Nothing is on the list yet. So when we do that, please make sure that that's really clear, that there are no projects that have already been decided. And one of the major pieces of these meetings that you're talking about here is the one that says citizen input.
Absolutely.
Just want to make sure that that's all part of that. Thank you.
And Councilor Thomas, that is absolutely correct, and we want to absolutely make that clear, that that's just a list that came to us from departments unedited. Council has not reviewed, approved. My office has not. It's just a list. And they can look at it and they can throw everything out on that list, the citizens can. They can say, well, no, we want to keep these, and everything else, we want to throw it out. It's going to be their list, not ours.
And we may need to say that more than once.
Yes.
I imagine we will.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councilor Woodson?
Yes, I just wanted, Ms. Hodge, I just want to, sorry about my voice. I just want to confirm the 19th. It's a good day. And I have a suggestion. If the list is going to be displayed during the meetings, can we just put suggestions over it, or big letters or something, you know, like the background or something, so people know those are just suggestions? And then that way there won't be no confusion, no misunderstanding, because if someone takes a picture to put it in social media, they'll see the big word suggestion across it and know that that is not a official list for us, please.
Great idea.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
And
you.
thank you.
I think that's it.
Mr. Mayor, if there are no further questions, that concludes my agenda.
All right. Madam Clerk?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. For the clerk's agenda, the first three resolutions, I would need to withdraw all three. Item number 4 is a finance report resolution for alcoholic beverage licenses that were processed during the month of August. Needs to be approved.
Got a motion second to approve. Any discussion? All those in favor, can we cue it? Do we need to cue that, Bruce? Nope. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It passes.
Item number 5 is an honorary designation application received from Friendship Baptist Church for Reverend Dr. Emmett S. Aniston Jr. to be located at 6th Avenue and 8th Street and 6th Avenue and 9th Street. The request is for the council to vote to send it to the Board of Honor.
Motion second to forward that request to the Board of Honor. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? That passes.
Item number 6 is a copy of an official appointment form submitted by the New Horizons Behavioral Health. They're requesting that David Ranieri serve another term of office. Needs council's approval.
Motion second to approve Mr. Ranieri. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That's approved.
Item number 7 is a letter of resignation from Mr. Edward Barnwell from the Region 6 Regional Advisory Council. Needs to be received.
Motion received with regrets. Is there a second? Okay, any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, that is received.
Item number 8, minutes of various boards.
Motion second to receive the minutes. Any edits or any discussion on any of them? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? They are received.
Next, we have board appointments. First, we have the Public Safety Advisory Commission. Councilor Barnes is recommending Byron Hickey to serve another term of office as his District 1 representative. Needs to be approved.
All in favor? Motion's approved. Next.
Next, we have district seat appointments for the Public Safety Advisory Commission. Still have openings for Council District 7. For the Youth Advisory Council, have opening for District 3 nominee. Next, we have council appointments. Any nominations will be listed for the next meeting. For the Animal Control Advisory Board, Councilor Garrett is nominating nominating Jane Dunn to succeed Timothy Butts. And he is also nominating Lindsay Ellis for the seat of Becky Carter, and we will bring these two back at the next meeting.
Ms. Davis, would you repeat the first one?
I'm sorry. Counselor Garrett is nominating Jane Dunn for the seat of Timothy Butts. And we will bring these back for the next meeting. For the Personnel Review Board, we have a vacant seat that's open for nominations. Also for the Tree Board, we have the seat of Candace Wayman. This seat is open for nominations. And that's all I have, Councilor Whitson.
Okay, one moment. The mayor has arrived.
Sorry. Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Pugh? Yes, ma'am.
We haven't named anything after Councilman McDaniel, have we?
No, we have not.
So the process would be to make a nomination. Make a request sent to the Board of Honors.
We could, or we could come up with an idea if somebody has something in mind to specifically to name after him. We could send that recommendation to them.
I do.
You do? Okay.
I think the Citizen Service Center.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And anybody else want to join in with me?
I do. I will join them with you.
Can we do that as an oral resolution, or should? All right, well, then that will be a motion by the Mayor Pro Tem to submit to the Board of Honor for consideration naming of the Citizen Service Center after Councilor C.E. Red McDaniel. And there is a second. Any discussion?
And I apologize to Red that we couldn't get the marina.
Yeah, the marina, that would have been.
Hey, there's still hope for the marina.
He's smiling because you mentioned it, I promise. All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, we'll forward that to the Board of Honor for their consideration. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, and that's it, Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir.
All right, and we do have a request to go into executive session, but I think we had an individual or two that wanted to complete their remarks. Ms. Palmore?
Before I complete my remarks, I raised my hand and had a question concerning the,
Yes, ma'am. You state your name and your address again.
but what about the questions I had?
You'll get to answer. You'll get to ask them. We'll start.
During my 3 minutes?
Yes, ma'am.
But my 3 minutes, I thought was supposed to be
Ma'am,
related
it's
to...
starting right now.
Oh, okay.
You may say whatever you wish.
I am Audrey Holston Palmore, and I still reside presently at 1035 Lawyers Lane. This is the case report number that I have been attending counsel so that I can let the public know that I have a concern about this case number report because it's attached to me, Audrey Holston Palmore, and as far as I can tell, there's not going to be attendance as I had requested of the police officer in my presence. I've been asking for that since December 2017, and it hasn't happened yet. So perhaps, maybe by October the 1st, you can get in touch with the police officer, Mr. Henderson, and have him there for the omission of the information that has been shared. Now, the Office of the Public Safety Director did go back and I went to show them this. I've been fortunate to have meetings with Mr. Henderson, and some of the information, this is not the original because with a microphone, so I don't want to waste my time.
We can turn on.
Yeah, that one. They'll turn that one off for you.
Turn that.
What's going on?
Oh, here you go.
Okay,
Turn that
thank you so
microphone.
much. Testing, it's not on. Testing, it's not on. Okay, thank you. I would like to show the public that the fact that as a result of meeting with the Public Safety Director, Mr. Henderson, there were changes made on the Columbus Police report done by the officer in question, and I've never said the officer's name, but I want to point out the supplemental narrative right here. It has a date that is erroneous, and those are the kind of reasons that I want to meet with the Public Safety Director, because I'm just not going to let people go around lying on the Audrey. Okay, so I'd like to say that I appreciate the public agenda because it saves me from, pondering when I can present it to the council. And I did write the council members a letter asking that they...
I apologize, your time's up.
Okay, now, what about my questions? I had a question about what Mr. Hughley said.
Yes, ma'am. We don't typically entertain questions from the audience during a presentation. Your time is up, ma'am. You can come visit.
So what about a citizen who has a question about what is being said?
Get in touch with any counselor. They can call 311. They can call the city manager's office. They can call my office. They have any number of ways to get answers. We answer them every day, dozens of times a day. So you can call and you can ask that question. We'll try to get it answered.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate your patience.
Thank you. Thank you. See you on the 1st.
Yes, ma'am. I can't wait.
11:30. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else wanted to be heard?
No, I'll see you when we meet.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
There's a lady in the back.
All right, ma'am, if you want to come forward, you'll have 3 minutes. State your name and your address, please.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. My name is Loretta Wright, and I don't have an address. I am homeless.
Okay.
Today, I'd like to talk to you about in reference to Romeo Echo Zulu November -06195903, 2713 Norris Road, parcel 034, blah, 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 blah. Those things were put in there. Okay, this parcel, 034-02-026 Columbus, Georgia. We do not need another gentrification project or activity, another new Jim Crow, to discriminate and segregate based on a caste system. I was listening to this when I came the last time, and they gave several things that are discriminatory, and we don't need something else like that to decide who live where and what. Strong families, low income, they disagree with government housing subsidies. Okay, on House Bill 346, that's a good try to do nothing. It misses the mark because it does not go far enough. There are no real consequences to deter landlords from becoming indifferent and derelict about their property. The cost of court and $500 are unacceptable. There needs to be a roster rating to warn potential tenants of alleged bad landlords. Tenants needs to be compensated for damages or loss of household goods and other coincidentals when the landlord fails to maintain their property. Landlords should be denied eviction when tenant refuse to pay because the landlord failed to maintain their property.
Ma'am, pardon me for interrupting, but that's a state law. Is there something that council can help you with?
Well, we need some changes. And I need to know where, I believe I presented the last time, is how do you go by with a bill, you know? It helps, you know, and I'm proud of that, but it didn't go far enough. And see, yes, it may be a law, but sometimes the law is a burden on the people too. And those were some questions that I mentioned the last time. I do know. Okay. Also, I want to talk about hotels and motels. The hotels and motels need to be inspected more often by Health Department inspection, code, and CDC for health and welfare reasons, cleanliness, structure, safety, and security. Their policies need to be reviewed to ensure that they are being fair to the customer to prevent false advertisement. Also, their policies need to be posted on their website and clearly marked. It should include a mandatory accept policy button. And Okay, another item of the quality of life in Columbus. To the mayor and the member of council, what are you going to do collectively to ensure that all citizens in Columbus have every opportunity to pursue life, liberty, and happiness? And the
Thank you,
others also
ma'am.
say.
Thank you very much. And I will tell you that if you contact your state legislators, you can give them input on that particular House bill, and they will consider your comments.
I do intend to.
Okay. Thank you,
going
ma'am.
beyond this.
Thank you very much for being here. And I want to make one other comment about Ms. Palmore's comments when she talked about the officer changed his report. It's not quite accurate. At Ms. Palmore's request, I passed it along to the officer. He did make a clarification on the report. So coming to see the mayor does not get a police report changed. I want to make that clear. All right, we've got a request to go into executive session on potential litigation and real estate acquisition. Have a motion to go into executive session and a second. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right, if we could clear the council chambers. All right, we are back. We've been in executive session. We discussed potential litigation and land acquisition. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. City Attorney.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. We'd like to call up the final resolution this evening to settle all claims of Neely Wright for $15,000. It's ready for adoption.
Motion second to approve that settlement. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, it passes.
That's all.
We'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right. We are adjourned.